Hello. If you are watching this video, you're probably interested in my channel, which is a good thing. What I felt like doing today is maybe reading a few books. But since I don't have a very high budget, what I'm going to be starting with is a book written by David Williams, illustrated by Tommy Ross, and it is called The World's Worst Children. Now, it is a book full of short stories. Now, I think some people would probably like to hear them. So, the way I'm going to do this is I will start on the first story and go through the book in small bits. Okay. In the first story is Dribbling Drew. Once upon a time, there was a boy named Drew. Drew dribbled a lot. This wasn't just a normal everyday dribbling, the odd gobble of gloop running down your chin. Oh no, this was dribbling on an industrial scale. Here was a boy who could dribble litre upon litre upon litre of dribble every day. Now you may be wondering why Dribbling Drew dribbled so much. Well, it was because he was an incredibly lazy individual. If he could, he would sleep 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and as Drew snoozed, he drooled. Zzz, plop. As the drool went, it landed on the floor. On the school mornings, the boy would have to be dragged out of bed by his feet. If he had his way, Drew be wheeled to school every morning on his bed. As soon as he arrived at school, he would go straight back to sleep. Zzz, plop, zzz, plop. Drew liked nothing more than to have a nice long snooze during the lessons. He'd even been known to take a sleeping bag into school. That way he could doze through every single subject. PE was a hard one to sleep through, but Drew found a way. For example, during a football matches, he would ask to be in goal, and then he'd climb up on the net and have a nap. If any of the kids scored a goal, he would moan if they celebrated too loudly and woke him up. Because Drew slept through every lesson, he found himself bottom of the class. When Drew snoozed in lessons, he would dribble all over his desk. Zzz, plop, zzz, plop, zzz, plop. The dribble would trickle down the floor where the large puddle of drool would collect. If the lesson was dreaded double history, then the dribble would end up something as a pool. No one knew quite what was in Drew's dribble. It was transparent, like water, but thick and sticky, like glue. One time, his history teacher, Mrs. Past, ran over Drew's desk to shout at him for falling asleep in class again. The unfortunate lady slipped on the dribble, shot across the floor, flew straight out the window. Boing. She was found upside down in a nearby hedgerow with her tweed skirt over her head, her big frilly knickers flapping in the wind. The day our story starts, there was a school trip to the Natural History Museum. This was a wonderful place, full of all sorts of treasures, from moon rock to dinosaur skeletons. The museum even housed a life-size cast of a blue whale. As Drew's class pulled up outside the museum in the school coach, Mr. Nummings, the science teacher, handed out his dreaded worksheets. Now listen carefully, children. On these worksheets, I want you to make a list of all the exhibits you see in the museum today. Do we have to, sir? Moaned Dribbling Drew, stifling a yawn. Dozing on the coach for half an hour had tired the boy out. Now be ready for bed. A pool of drool had collected at his feet. Yes, Drew, we have to do it, yelled the teacher, and I want you to stay awake during this visit. Now Mr. Nummings turned back to the rest of the class. Now everyone, the pupil who writes the most exhibits will come top of the class, so keep looking and listening the whole time. Right? Out you get. As they walked in through the museum giant wooden doors, all the children marvelled at the huge skeleton of a diplodocus, which took pride in the place in the great hall, but Drew simply yawned. Then he broke away from his teacher and classmates and found a nice quiet place to nap. It was on top of a glass holding a stuffed dodo, a bird that had become extinct centuries before. No one would disturb him up there. Drew climbed up, using a stuffed giraffe as a ladder. He lay down and closed his eyes. Then the boy slept and slept and slept, and dribbled and dribbled and dribbled. The boy could sleep absolutely anywhere, standing up during a rock concert, hanging from a tree, or even on a roller coaster. As everyone around him screamed, this particular day Drew slept for so long that he was still asleep when the Natural History Museum was locked up for the night. Without anyone realizing, he was still there when all the lights had turned off. All night Drew slept, and as he slept, he dribbled. Zzz, plop, zzz, plop, zzz, plop. As Drew dribbled and dribbled and dribbled, then he dribbled some more, the spot of drool beneath him spread into a puddle. Soon it was like a lake of spittle. By the dawn, Drew's sea of dribble had filled the entire Natural History Museum. And in the morning, Winston, the burly security guard, arrived bright and early to unlock the doors and open the museum as he did every day. However, this was no ordinary day. The first thing Winston noticed was transparent fluid oozing underneath the doors. That's very strange, he thought out loud. Maybe one of the daft old professors has left the tap running. Next, the security guard dipped his toe in the boot of the liquid, and he realized it couldn't be water from a leaky pipe. Whatever this was, it was thick and sticky. Worried that the museum might have flooded, Winston flung open the giant wooden doors as fast as he could. Nothing could have prepared Winston for what happened next. Whoosh! A tidal wave of drool washed him clean off his feet, and he found himself travelling at speed down the street. Wah! The big man screamed like a baby. Closely behind the security guard flowed some of the biggest exhibits in the museum. A stuffed polar bear, the life-size cast of the blue whale, even the diplodocus skeleton. They all bobbed along the street of London, rushing on this dribble of drool. Atop this case that house of Dodo was Drew. In all the commotion, he had finally woken up for his long sleep, and as he floated down the street, the flood of his own spittle destroyed everything in its path. Cars, lorries, even buses were swept off the ground and began bobbing along the colossal ooze of drool. Drew leapt off the glass case onto the roof of the nearby building. From that safe place, he watched more of the exhibits passed by. Giants, bird eggs, a stuffed gorilla, a model of an elephant. The boy had reached into his blazer pocket. He still had that worksheet Mr. Nummings had given to him at the start of the school trip. Drew made a note of everything that he'd seen. Every single exhibit from the museum floated past, and he wrote them all down. A Mars rock, Neanderthal skull, a marble statue of Charles Darwin, a giant squid, a stuffed vulture, an earthquake machine, a Model T Rex. The list went on and on. A seahorse pickled in a jar, a model volcano, a fossil of a prehistoric fish, a spacesuit, a stuffed giraffe, an old lady clinging to a shop. Hang on, that's a real old lady. Oh, and a model of a woolly mammoth. To his credit, dribbling Drew spent hours listing everything he saw as the gushing river of drool swept all the museum's precious exhibits out to sea. The next day, Drew handed in his worksheets to Mr. Nummings. Apart from a few spots of dribble, it was perfect. The science teacher announced the results. We can reveal that the winner with 100% is Drew, said Mr. Nummings. The boy was top of the class for the first time in his life, before he was promptly expelled. As a punishment for destroying everything in the Natural History Museum, Drew was put to work there. His job was to reassemble the Diplodocus skeletons that had been recovered from the bottom of the sea. And he was not to stop until this giant jigsaw was finished. Dribbling Drew didn't get any sleep for the next 10 years. Now, if you want me to continue with the next stories, just tell me. Just comment in the comment section if you will. Oh, and please subscribe. I need friends.